All right, everybody, that's quite enough of all of that music. Unhappy Thursday, everybody. Coming to you live from the 215 all the way out here to the 513. This is Unhappy and the MP, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. We thank you for joining us from wherever you may be and whatever device you're using to stream us on YouTube. So please pull up a chair, turn up the volume, if that is necessary. I'm usually loud enough. Use the company dime if, God forbid, you're still stuck at work. Crack open a cold one if you're trying to get your weekend started early. And let's try to have some fun as we put an end to Friday Eve and look forward to it being actually Friday tomorrow and getting on to championship weekend. What's up, my dude? Welcome back. We got Mason back with us after his Wi-Fi fiasco last week. How we doing?
Doing good, brother. It was a very eventful 2 weeks since the last show, and unfortunately, the internet had to conk out last week. Wanted to keep me away, but couldn't keep me away for too long. We have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to catch up on. We have a lot of gossip to be had, and I'm just looking forward to it.
Hell yeah. Who's in the room? Scott Calcaterra. Good evening, my dudes. What's up, my brother? Lou Mancini popping in. Hey, guys, what's up, dude? Lou wants to know, are you guys lucky as far as the impending storm? So that's the fun part out here. Out here, they can't tell us how much snow is coming. Pick your news outlet or app or whatever, and it'll tell you anywhere from 1 to 3 inches all the way up to a foot to 14 inches in this area. So
yeah,
things are going well. What we do know is we are going to get some sort of snow, and the temperature is going to absolutely bottom out. That will happen tomorrow night. And then from there, for it looks like at least a week, we are not going to get above like 17 to 20 degrees out here. Wind chills on Monday morning are supposed to be well below zero. The bulk of the snow for us is supposed to hit on Sunday, which is going to make Monday very much up in the air as far as if our facility will open. And if that doesn't happen, I will spend most of my day right here only with my fucking work laptop open, contacting carriers that are trying to pick up and deliver to us at a site that is not open, and having to push all of that out through the rest of the week and possibly open up Saturday to make up for some of it. So I am specifically hoping for the under on the snowfall total. But the fact that it's been so cold and will be so cold, the minute this stuff starts to fall, it's going to stick. Then you're going to have the idiots out there who are going to want to be driving around in it. That's going to cause everything on the road to freeze, making a nice thick sheet of ice for another 8 inches of snow to fall on top of. I'm not looking forward to that at all. So am I getting lucky? I don't know yet, Lou. I hope. And yes, sir, I agree with you. Snow sucks. Mason, what is it looking like up there for you guys? Aren't you guys about to get – aren't they just telling you like 12 plus? Is that the word?
So if you had asked this question a couple of days ago, it went from like 10 to 12 to like 12 to 15 to like 15 to 18. I'm looking at Apple right now, and now it's saying like an inch. And I think that's because there's a little bit of it kind of bottoms out with rain at the very end. So I'm guessing what they're supposing is that the rain just washes most of it away.
Rain?
I don't know, because none of it is like, it's not going above 30 degrees. And so it's not like it's going to melt. So I think instead of a foot and a half of snow, I think we might just have 5 inches of ice. I don't know.
Ugh, that's the absolute worst. I would say snow on top of ice is the worst possible situation. You got Lou over here says you guys are getting possibly 2 feet. So you've got an inch and some rain. Lou is
I could be reading this incorrectly. I could be reading this as a foot and a couple. So I might be reading it wrong, but it's only gone up. It's only gone up through the week. It's only gone up. So I'm like,
Sounds like nobody in the path of the storm really knows what the hell they're going to get.
We're getting snow, though.
We're getting snow. That much snow we can guarantee. So I end up with a team of folks going in on Saturday to try to do some cleanup. I'll be down there for a couple hours in the morning, but then I've got an appointment at 9:30.
I'm off all weekend. I'm so glad.
Good for you.
Oof,
I'm usually off on
bullet.
the weekends. This is the time of year when we really ramp up, though, and this year we've got some extra customers, so it's a little bit more hectic.
I cannot wait to watch it all just fall. I don't have to drive in it.
Yeah, once I get home, I'm not leaving again. And I already told the folks I work with, I'm like, look, if I open my garage door on Monday morning and there's like 8 inches of snow and ice under it, I'm going back to bed. I'm not coming. It's a 40-minute drive when it's dry.
Oh,
I'm not doing it.
jeez.
I'll be right here. But let's get the business part of it out of the way. Everyone, the moment you've all been waiting for. Michelle's favorite part of the program. Now she gives me the double-barrel middle finger from the kitchen. We are proudly sponsored by Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philadelphia. Just minutes away from the sports complex, Cheerleaders brings you the area's most beautiful women on 5 different stages. Open 7 days a week from noon until 2 a.m. and until 4 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. For group information, call 215-467-1980 to reserve a private booth and or party package. Also offering free parking, a full menu, daily drink and food specials, and a premium selection of cigars and a cigar lounge. If you're looking for a place to catch your favorite sporting event and you can't quite afford to get out to one of the arenas, head on over to Cheerleaders and enjoy the 75-foot HD TV wall, as well as HD TV screens throughout the entire club. Once again, folks, that is Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club, located at 2740 South Front Street in Philly. Call 215-467-1980. Always at the bottom of your screen, greenlegion.com, scrolling every time we go live here. And while the football season is over for us, unfortunately, time to start looking towards next year. And we've got some pretty fun destinations on the menu for next season. Birds will play at Chicago. If you've not been to Chicago can be a very fun city. Stay the frick out of the south end, but other than that, you're pretty well okay. You really want that game, obviously, earlier in the year so that you can, the weather's a little bit warmer. You get up into December up there, and oh boy. We've also got San Francisco is on the schedule at Frisco, so you get your vineyards, you can tour Alcatraz, all of that sort of stuff. And I can tell you that the one Michelle and I will likely be on, along with a few other folks from our Midwest Eagles nest here, Nashville. We play at the Titans this year. It's the last time we were there was 2018. That was Carson Wentz's first game back after the injury. We broke out to a 17-3 lead at halftime and then managed to fuck that all up in the second half and lose on the last play of overtime. Hoping to go back down to Nashville and get some vengeance for that one. But if you've not been on that trip, you weren't with us 8 years ago, hopefully we're able to pull off the same thing as last time, but the tailgate was actually a sailgate. That's right. Your accommodations at the Opryland Hotel, just a couple-minute bus ride down to a little pier where we board the General Jackson riverboat, take that down the Cumberland River, and it docks right at Nissan Stadium. Off the boat you go, on into the stadium. It was a breakfast spread on the ride down and a lunch/dinner spread on the ride back up. Excellent time. So picture this, Mason. You're in the middle of Tennessee. Buckle of the Bible Belt. It's Sunday morning. Banks of the Cumberland River. Nice sunny morning. And here's these folks out stretching out, having their morning coffee, getting ready to go off to church. Here comes this barge of 1,100 Eagles fans with a DJ blaring off the top deck. Everybody's either hungover and or still drunk and or drinking already. And just, fight song, chants, loud music. Could you imagine?
That's how I imagine people felt like when the Vikings would invade way back in the day.
Right. Yeah.
When invaders are coming to the land, like, oh my God, they're here.
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
it was an excellent, excellent time. So I'm hoping that gets pulled off again. That would be absolutely great. But usually what happens, greenlegion.com, come March, sometime in March, is usually when the early bird deposits can start being accepted. So if one of those trips is looking like something you want to do, whether it's San Francisco, Chicago, Nashville, Jacksonville is on our radar again this year. Hop on there once those early birds are advertised and ready to go. And I think it's $200 per person to reserve your spot. The beauty of the early bird thing is you put that in. The schedule gets released in early May. If for some reason that week doesn't work for you, or the full package price comes back and it's just a little bit more than you wanted to spend, you can, up to a certain date, request a full refund of your deposit. Or if there's another trip where the dates do work, maybe or the cost is better suited for you, you can shift your deposit to that trip, not lose your place in line. All right. It's a great service that the staff at the Green Legion offers to everybody. So I highly recommend taking advantage of that if traveling with us this year is something you want to do. Nashville, I can almost guarantee you will see Michelle and I there, along with some other Midwest Eagles Nest knuckleheads. Chicago is also a possibility, being that it is drivable for us. Nashville and Chicago, roughly the same distance from where I'm sitting right now. One south, one north. So it's possible we get to two. If we're going to do a big one, it would be Nashville. Chicago might be a thing where I drive up on the Saturday and back on Monday morning. Get the ticket and tailgate thing and just have a good time and come home. We'll see. It all depends on the dates. But keep an eye out. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the good stuff. Watch for those early birds to be released and get in there and put your deposit in. No better way to do it, folks. The unquestioned best and longest tenured in the business, the Green Legion, greenlegion.com. All right, that takes care of all that fun stuff. Who else just popped in here? Lou's still talking about 1 inch of rain is 10 inches of snow at 30 degrees. At 20 degrees, it's 20 and so forth. And Scott Calcaterra, Lou coming with data. Love it. Josh enters the room. I'm fashionably late. Hey, everybody. I can tell you that from an offensive coordinator standpoint, and I am annoyed at this point. We'll get to that in a minute. Josh, my good friend Josh, who is a very much an OG regular of our Midwest Eagles Nest, was 100% invested in Mike McDaniel being our offensive coordinator. I was on board with it. I like McDaniel's, creativity, specifically with the run game. A lot of motion, a lot of misdirection, zone blocking schemes a la Shanahan. I was all for it. Not all that surprised that he ends up in Los Angeles, because he can wear capris out there all year, right? That doesn't really work in Philly in December and January. But, I'm sure Josh, when I text him when the news broke that McDaniel went to the Chargers, he was not happy. I was not happy about it either. Now, Mason, here's my why I am annoyed first and foremost. So we finished our game Sunday night with 7:30, 7:45, something like that. Lose to the 49ers. Tuesday morning, we fire Kevin Patullo. That's a pretty quick hook, right? Like, they didn't waste any time. Basically, got back home, got back in, cleared out all their shit, and said, "Okay, dude, you're gone." Nick releases his statement that I got a feeling it was more of a Howie decision, but we can talk about that down the road. So what that told me was two things. One, obviously, the most obvious, you recognize that Patullo was a problem and you cut the problem out, right? Mm-hmm. 1A, and probably even more importantly, when you do it that quick, it told me that they had a specific person or short list of people that they wanted to go after. So now here we are a week and a half later, and there's still nothing. And McDaniel's off to LA. And, the Buffalo job now becomes open because McDermott gets fired. I got to believe Dable is high on their radar for that one. which was another option for us, although I don't really care for his lack of motion in his offense, but he did a great job with Josh Allen, and he's got a rapport with both Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
So my annoyance is you did it quick. You're telling your fan base, we're going after it. We're going to get after it quick here. We got candidates we're interested in. We don't want them to slip away by wasting time here. And now a week and a half later, we're still on fucking crickets here. And I understand Kellen Moore, the announcement didn't come until I think it was February 5th last year. But God damn it, dude. Like, let's go. Shit will get off the pot.
Yeah, and it's a lot of these times when moves happen that quick, like you say, the Petula fired like literally the next day. You're right, and you kind of assume that the organization kind of has a plan forward in what it wants to do, but a lot of the times decisions are also, hey, we at least know that we don't want this guy, so why just have him in the building and plan to get rid of him anyway? So there's a lot of really interesting things I'm hearing from different people. A lot of candidates for this offensive coordinator, they don't want to be here. It's not that we can't win them over, it's just that they don't want to come here. And if you look at the recent history, in terms of staffing personnel when it comes to Philadelphia, it's not really a question as to why. There's a different offensive coordinator seemingly every single year. It is a roster that has plenty of drama. I feel like at this point, Dana White's going to host Nick Sirianni and AJ Brown main eventing an event. It seems like every other week they were getting each other's face with frothing and just shouting at each other. I don't know, bro. I don't know. So they tell you the middle-aged white guy has a shot there. But there's this roster that has this tension with AJ. Devontae's real quiet, so that's always nice. Essentially, it's something that I think has reared its ugly head with this Eagles team ever since Howie kind of came back. You kind of saw it with Andy a little bit. There's a power struggle that happens with this organization. There's a reason why Doug Peterson had relatively a lot of success and then was quickly forced out the door. And it's because Harry Roseman doesn't like to share power. And unless you're going to bend the knee and kind of give in to that, you're gone. Nick Sirianni does that.
Yeah. Well, Nick also didn't have it was his first gig. You know, he didn't have a whole lot of Peterson.
Made him a lot really attractive, though.
Yeah, no doubt. But Peterson got shown the door because he refused to fire who he was being told to fire. Right? Like I think it was Mike Groh at the time. He wanted him out, and Peterson wouldn't do it. Now, look, I will also tell you, I will love Dougie forever for what we pulled off that year. I think Dougie's a little overrated. I just do. You know,
I'm not saying he's
outside of that one season, he did absolutely nothing at all. It either progressively got worse, or then he goes to Jacksonville and did absolutely nothing there either. It was lightning in a bottle that year. Everybody stayed healthy. We made the right moves. Everything clicked. You know, you had a great, Frank Reich with his relationship with Carson Wentz was really, really special. And the way Reich was able to shift on a dime to tailor that offense around what Foles does well, right? Carson, much more mobile, better athlete. Foles, obviously a pocket passer. But, it was a lot of lightning in a bottle. And a lot of it was everybody stayed healthy, I don't think there's enough said about those things. When you don't have injury issues.
Nick Sirianni's also got incredibly blessed with that as well.
He is, for the most part. No doubt. This past season, we banged up on the offensive line, and then Kobe Dean misses time. I get it. But Jalen Carter had his injury problems too. But yeah, overall, he's been blessed with good health, right? And maybe the training staff is excellent. Whatever the case may be. Sirianni's also been blessed with Howie creating a roster that is fucking loaded with talent, right?
That's right.
So where Doug had talent not on the level on both sides of the ball,
no,
Sirianni has enjoyed, right? Like Dougie's team the defense was loaded with talent. The offense was good, but not loaded like this.
No. And it's also really different. Another huge difference between Doug Peterson and Nick Sirianni, just to kind of add to that point, is that you didn't really have a defensive coordinator who could literally kind of do whatever he wanted because he was worth his weight in gold. Jim Schwartz is great, but he's not Vic Fangio. And so Vic Fangio, you set it and forget it. Where Jim Schwartz, you were just kind of sweating every week. You were sweating on as to why Jalen Mills was in man coverage, but apart from that,
why'd you have to say Jalen Mills, dude? Like, Jesus Christ, man!
But the whole structure of the team right now is so interesting because you do have a Nick Sirianni, who, I mean, we've said it throughout the entire season. This is not a guy who's going to write a book on football that's going to fly off the shelves. It's just not going to happen. No. And so he's not a great offensive mind. He's not a great defensive mind. He has an offensive background, but that's about it.
But look at his offense.
I've always called him a player's coach, similar to Mike Tomlin. And Mike Tomlin also cursed the Steelers. He's out now, but he also cursed the Steelers with upwards of 2 decades with at least a winning record. Which, I mean, the natural cycle of teams is you do really good, and then you do really bad, so that you can get good players, and then you can become really good again. But if you kind of middle in the average there, guess what you're going to be? You're just going to kind of middle in the average.
You're just going to stay there. Yep.
You're just going to stay there. So you have to crash to win. You have to crash to win.
Eventually.
Hasn't done that. Eventually, yeah. And so when you have Siri, the whole offense, you bring in Kellen Moore last year, that explodes. But every single year you have a different offensive coordinator. So you don't have the longevity there. You either do really good and you go somewhere else, or you get right out of town. And that's not a recipe for having someone who's looking to potentially be somewhere for. I mean, when was the last time we had an offensive coordinator for multiple years? For me, it feels like a lifetime ago. It was like a lifetime ago.
It was 21 and 20, half of 21, and Steichen was there all of 21, but Nick was running it the first half.
Right.
Then it turns over to Steichen. He gets it the second half, and then all of 22. That's the last time we've gone year over year with the same OC. Now,
it's been remarkable.
It has. And then for Jalen Hurts, and I see your comments here, Scott and Josh and Lou, about the Jalen Hurts stuff, and we're going to get to that in a minute because I'm a little tired of the negative on Jalen here. Your point about it's not a desirable because it changes over every year. Well, Shane Steichen got a head coaching job because of the performance with our guys. Kellen Moore got a head coaching job because of the performance with our guys.
Oh, I'm not saying it's undesirable because there was merely turnover. I'm saying
the other two are out because they were terrible. If I'm an offensive coordinator, why wouldn't I guess let me play the other side of the coin there. Why wouldn't I want to go and be the OC with a talent-loaded offense to try to boost my stature when I know that the whole league is geared around offense? And if I perform well here, I'm going to get a look as a head coach, which means more money, right? Like that's what they're all after, right? And the whole league is offense crazy, quarterback and offense. That's all anybody fucking cares about anymore. I guess that's the other side of the coin is, you've got the Philly media, which is poison. We know that. You got us as fans who, as a collective group, we egged our offensive coordinator's house and say less, but then the other side is, hey, I can get there. I feel like I guess you got to want to take on the challenge, the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And you would think more guys would want to do that. Like I said, I don't blame McDaniel for going to LA. I think he's more of an LA, South Beach, Florida type of guy, right? Likes to wear his capris and be out and doing his thing. I really felt like by this point we'd at least have some more noise about what direction we're going in. So Daboll isn't hired anywhere right now. I don't know what is going on with him. Cliff Kingsbury is still out there. But you got to think he's looking for a head coaching gig. He may need another year as an OC to prove it again, but
yeah.
And then the other list of candidates, what are we looking at here? Jim Bob Cooter. I tell you one name that is a little interesting to me, and it's Bobby Slowick. So he was the offensive coordinator C.J. Stroud's rookie season in Houston, and we all saw what Stroud did his rookie year. So I think that's an interesting one. I just, all the talk and everything coming out of the end of the season was that we were going after a big name, someone we were going to give autonomy to run the offense, much the same way we did with Kellen Moore. And here we are a week and a half later, still sitting on our hands. It's frustrating, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, what you kind of laid out earlier is exactly the reality of what we're kind of looking at. Me and you kind of talked about this before the show. It almost seems like a lot of Eagles fans kind of view Philadelphia with almost like rose-tinted glasses, and once in a while, reality crashes in on everybody who doesn't live in the area code of 215. Philly is a tough city. Philly's a really tough city, and while
sports city in the country, dude.
A lot of guys who are in this industry love a challenge, and I'm not going to deny that or dismiss that at all. And sometimes having a roster like this, although AJ's future is not certain, we don't really truly know with 100% certainty what's going to happen. You do have an aging Dallas Goedert, but you also do have a relatively young Saquon Barkley. You have a Devontae Smith in his prime. You have a Jalen Hurts in his prime. You have an offensive line. I mean, Lane Johnson. You have Lane Johnson, who's going to be up there, probably a Hall of Famer, but we don't really have a concrete replacement just yet for Lane Johnson.
I think you're going to see that get drafted this year, though. I think it's easily where we're going is tackle first round.
We definitely have
to. Have to.
And so, but a lot of relatively uncertainness in some places on the roster. But bottom line is, there's just I don't know. If I'm an offensive coordinator, I'm looking at Philadelphia. I'm seeing a city who is very volatile unless you're really great. But that's a constant.
Yeah,
add in the fact you have this star-studded roster, and that magnifies that volatility. Mm-hmm. And unless you are perhaps Kellen Moore and you have the offense humming seemingly every single week like a cat, you're just rolling. It is something that you just get chased out of town very easily. And I'm not saying that this is like be less passionate or hold teams less accountable, but it just, what from a fan's perspective, just put yourself in an offensive coordinator's position, because I am reading reports that candidates just don't want to come here.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah.
If you look just past the past couple of years, it's a great opportunity to really show out. That happened with Kellen Moore, but there's also, I think, a lot of negatives that sometimes come from other kind of things we don't really want to talk about that pushes them away. And I think just the nature of Philadelphia.
Yeah, it might be. And the Philly media is poison. I brought that up before. We all know it. The Philly sports media is terrible. And that could be a lot of where for all we know, they're the ones putting it out there that guys don't want to come here, for that reason. You know what I mean? But it's true. Look, certainly. Philadelphia, by and large, probably the toughest sports city in the country, right? I mean, call it tough, call it, fans being dicks or whatever. I call it passion is what I call it. That passion on steroids is really the way I would look at it. But I think this is a good segue into the other part of this whole OC thing. And we've got a few people in the room that have been talking about this the last couple of minutes. I'm going to start with Josh here. Jalen has shown he's limited in parts of the field. A lot of OCs don't want to paint inside those lines. All right. Scott Calcaterra backs that up. Josh, you're correct. I love him. Or this is Lou. Josh, you're correct. I love him, but if you can't see that he doesn't see the whole field, you're delusional. Scott Calcaterra, unfortunately, Jalen had those tendencies while at Oklahoma. He only threw to CeeDee Lamb. Josh, the one thing I will say, though, is they need to allow Jalen to run again. He looks a lot better when he is a threat with his feet. Okay.
Yeah. I really agree with that.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on this right away because I think some of the problem that we saw with the Brian Johnson and with Kevin Patullo was an offensive design that was not geared and put together for the roster that's constructed, including its quarterback.
I strongly agree with that.
I think you've got to have an offensive coordinator who can come in. Yes, they've got an image of what they want it to look like, but they need to be able to adapt and evolve and implement and change to what skill set they have available to them, particularly with your quarterback. Does Jalen see the whole field well? No, he does not. We all know he has trouble in the middle of the field when things are crossing and the windows are tighter. We know it. This is not news. Scott brought it up a few minutes ago. He was like that at Oklahoma, right? It's not news. Here's the difference. When you bring back an RPO offense, much to what we read a minute ago and what you backed up, Mason, Jalen, the threat to run, okay? What are you doing there? You're keeping the linebackers more honest, right? They can't just sit back and hog up the middle of the field. They have to respect that you're going to run, not just hand the ball off. Motion in your offense to help tip the defense. More elaborate route running, route trees, scheme, right? Look at Shanahan's offense and McVay's offense. Now, look, McVay's got the luxury of a Stafford who's been a pro for fucking 15 years or whatever. Shanahan's got Brock Purdy, who, look, performs incredibly well in that system. Not taking anything away from the kid. But that system, if you watch their play design, I encourage people to go use that NFL Plus and watch that all 22. Watch what happens when those receivers and the whole everything develops. It is all designed not even so much for your players, your skill position players, but for windows being huge for you to throw the ball into. Brock Purdy is very rarely having to put the ball pinpoint on a dime. Not saying he can't do it because there are times when he has to and he does. But that the whole scheme is built to create large gaps for the quarterback to just put the ball into and let the receiver go to it. We had none of that last year. None. In 2025 with Patullo. None of it. Right? We don't get any of that. And that's why I wanted McDaniel. Because I think it's all along those lines. The motion, the RPO. Look what he's done with A-Chain down there in Miami. Right? Is that kid running for that many yards in our offense? Fuck no. Right? It's not going to happen, but you put in some zone blocking, a lot of motion in your offense, a lot of misdirection coming out of the backfield. And that's without Tua even being a threat to run. Nobody's afraid of Tua running anywhere. They're more afraid of hitting Tua and killing him at this point. But I get the limitations on Jalen, right? I understand. Mason, I know you understand too. You and I have talked about this right here on this show. Here's the difference, folks. People want to look at Jalen and be like, oh, well, you know what? Every single quarterback in the league has some sort of deficiency. Nobody's perfect. For Jalen, it's arm strength overall and seeing the middle of the field. Josh Allen turns into a turnover machine here and there. It just happened this past weekend, right? Brock Purdy, if you get in his face enough, he can't handle it. Pressure kills him. Jalen just doesn't see the middle of the field. So you have to – what we saw this past year with Patullo's offense was instead of trying to make things easier for him to throw into that part of the field, he just abandoned it, right? Like it was just – unless it was a 5-yard sit-down route, the ball never went to the middle of the field. It was all outside the numbers because that's where Jalen's comfortable. Well, when every defense in the league knows that you're not going to throw it over the middle, the fuck kind of challenge are you presenting for coverage on the outside? None. We need an offensive coordinator who can look at the roster and decide this is how I'm going to put these guys in the best position to succeed, starting with his quarterback. We've all seen what Jalen Hurts can do when he is in a good offensive scheme with a competent play caller. Not some pissant that got promoted from within because him and Nick go and they share spaghetti and meatballs or whatever with Big Dom, and and can't call a play to save his fucking life. The Jalen hate that I'm seeing all over the place, and that being a reason for an offensive coordinator not to come here, it's testing my patience a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that sentiment actually a little bit. In 2017, when Carson went down, we should just remember what those remaining regular season games were like under Nick Foles, where you had some games that really flashed. I think we all remember that Raiders game at home was just absolutely brutal. We have that bye week, and then we come back, and it's a different team.
Well,
it's a team that relied a lot.
Atlanta.
They did take it against Atlanta, but it was starting to gear up a little bit better. We transformed into an RPO offense, and we didn't try to bash a square peg into a round hole. We conformed to the limitations of Nick Foles. Not saying that Nick Foles is a bad quarterback, but you also have to make things a lot more simple, especially because you're on a short time frame. Carson went down 3 quarters into the season, and you don't really have a lot of time to re-engineer the offense. But you had an RPO offense. You simplified the offense. You didn't really lose much of the roster, if at all. And you won a Super Bowl with that same offense. And so, so if you remember back to last year, we, up to the Super Bowl, we lived and died by the running game, and then we used Jalen strategically into what we needed him to do. And we had Smith, and we had Brown, we had Goddard, and Barkley wasn't as much of a receiving threat as, of course, he is on the ground. And we used that star-studded receiving core and weapons to amplify Hurts's arm, essentially. Amplify the passing game. If you don't have that run game, because if you don't run the offense through the passing game, because you're not going to run it through the passing game with Jalen Hurts, I think that's as far as limitation and the value of it and the weight of it goes. You're not going to run an offense through Jalen Hurts. You have to use him as an accent. He's not the primary color. He's a secondary.
Agreed.
When you have Saquon Barkley, and I think it's, like I said, it's going to echo your point with Mike McDaniel. You need an offensively based offense or rushing based offense in order to accent Hurts. And when I look at someone like Brian Daboll, the first thing I think of isn't the run game. No, it's definitely the passing game. And so I think when we look back at this past year, I think you're 100% right in terms of it almost seemed like there was an offense that was built for this specific scheme and then a playbook for a different offensive setup. And so you had that misalignment, and that's when you get AJ Brown getting all frustrated. And that's why it looked like our run game had never played football before.
Well, look,
ever.
When all you do is take shotgun snaps and stick the ball in Saquon's chest and tell him to go figure it out, you're not going to get very far. I don't care who the halfback is.
Barkley's Barkley, but he's not Barry Sanders. Okay, he's not. And if that breaks your heart to hear, then I'm sorry, but he's not. I ought to be drawing plays on here.
I tell you, Mason, they're not the best. They're not the best audience on the planet for no reason, but they are.
But no, I think that this is a very specifically structured offense, and we saw this year that if you don't have the specific offensive coordinator for it, then it's just not going to work. Yeah, and so
you got to have a versatile offensive coordinator. He's got to devise a scheme to the player's skill set. What we saw this year was an offense that was designed for a pocket passer. That's not Jalen Hurts. Scott right here asks a good question. He's talking about Jalen. I love him, and yes, he can run like a solid running back. How much longer can he sustain the pounding of the league? And that's a fair point. But there's the flip side to that too. It's the same thing that Baltimore did with Lamar Jackson. We didn't give Jalen Hurts that huge contract for him to be based on him being a pocket passer. He got that huge contract for what he does well, what makes him special. It's an RPO offense based first and foremost on running the goddamn ball, right? Hell, 2022 was so well run in the rushing attack. Miles Sanders ran for 1,200 yards. Miles Sanders ran for 1,200 yards in the NFL, okay? Not at Penn State, NFL, right? Last year, Saquon Barkley goes bananas. Don't tell me it can't happen. And I don't want to hear about Jalen Hurts being a problem. Limitations are limitations. Those are called challenges. Those are called areas of opportunity, not places to avoid or bash people for. You just got to help him in those areas, which a good offensive coordinator and play caller would do.
They're not limitations. They're happy accidents.
They're happy accidents. That's what my parents called me.
That's right. That's right. They're not limitations. They're opportunities for growth.
Yeah, it's an opportunity, right? Nothing's a failure. It's an area of opportunity.
That's right. That's right.
Let's see here. Who's that? Miles Sanders or Colonel Sanders?
That's a good. Oh man, that's right. I mean, I haven't eaten yet, so don't ask me that question yet.
No, don't go to KFC, dude. It's so bad for you. Or go ahead, eat it while you're young, and you can still get away with it. I eat that.
Right.
I gotta go lay down right away. You brought up an interesting point, though. You kept going back to, we talked about the current roster and who's on it. Brought up AJ Brown a couple of times, right? And this is something I touched on last week. I didn't want to hog all the thunder, though. I wanted to wait till you were back. AJ Brown. A lot of talk about should he be traded? Should he be this? Should he be that? I loved Howie's comments. We look for great players when we're out there making trades, making draft picks. Great players are hard to come by. And, AJ fits that mold. You can't trade him before June 1st, right? That's just salary cap suicide. If you trade him after June 1st, you actually save yourself $7 million. My thoughts the whole time have been I would hire the new offensive coordinator, and I would allow – now, all the talk is that they're going to give that new OC, whoever it may be, complete control of the offense, right? Yeah. You're autonomous. This is your shit.
That's the lore. That's the allure.
Right. That's the rumor, right? So we'll go with that. I would hire that guy. I would bring him in, and I would let him go meet with the players, right? And let him discuss, this is what I want to do from an offensive perspective. I want to put you guys in a better position than we were in last year to succeed by doing X, Y, and Z, whatever, right? And I would let him talk to specifically the stars, Jalen, Saquon, Smitty, AJ. And I would let that offensive coordinator get a real feel for, is A.J. Brown, one, invested in being here at all at this point? Two, is A.J. picking up what I'm putting down based on what I want to do with the offense? And if it's nothing but negative, then after June 1st, I would look to move him. Because you can't have that go. You just can't continue to deal with that, right? You've got to – at some point, there would have to make a change. I am not advocating to trade A.J. Brown because I agree with Howie. He is a great player. But the attitude, right or wrong, has to change. You wear a C on your jersey, dude. You got to act like it. All right? If you're going to be a captain, you got to be a captain.
So I just want to make sure that I have your position straight here, because what it sounds like your offering is
well played, Josh. Well played.
The allure for the current position that they're selling on the open market is that you have total control of the offense.
Yep.
But it also then sounds like you want the perspective of the coordinator kind of play GM surrounding AJ Brown, where you kind of just have to interview him a couple times, do a little bit of psychoanalysis, and then you make the final call of whether or not we get rid of him.
Well, if I'm bringing in an offensive coordinator and I'm going to give him autonomy, I need to know he's comfortable. And if AJ is going to be a fucking problem, it's really, at that point, is it really that hard of a decision? From a talent perspective, yes.
No.
Trying to replace a 6'1", 230-pound receiver is a fucking problem. But you also can't have a guy who's going to be a locker room cancer if you know it. If you know it long before the season even starts.
Right. And so what this long echoes for me is the exact same issues that Pittsburgh had with Antonio. And I'm not saying that AJ is going to turn to Antonio. What I'm saying is that you had a team in the Pittsburgh Steelers that thought that they could massage a lot of different egos in that locker room, and that, they kind of wagered on just winning, bringing everyone together, and eventually it'll work out. But somehow the combination of Roethlisberger, Bell, and Brown did not end with any rings for that Tomlin offense, which is astounding. But it just goes to show that if you wager everything on winning and you don't win, the problem is only going to get worse. And so that just compounds the further issues in the things I was listing earlier in the show in terms of things that might repel of as a coordinator rather than attract, is that you're under a lot of pressure to almost play GM for the offense in terms of keeping everyone happy, and mix that in with the toughness of Philadelphia in general, and the fact that Nick Sirianni offers you no shielding of accountability. Because where we could go to past coaches and be like, oh, well, you know what, he's going to have his hands in the offense, things like that. Nick Sirianni doesn't run the defense. That's all Fangio. Yep. And we also kind of really know that Nick's not an astute offensive mind. And so he's not really running the gears in the offense, and he's not building it from scratch. No, it's really the coordinators who run stuff. And Sirianni is just there to kind of try to keep the players somewhat organized, and
which is fine.
High, which is fine.
He's the head coach, right? I don't want the head coach calling plays or doing any of this shit.
No.
I want him running the team. Right?
What I'm saying is that What the only thing I'm saying is that the way that offense and the way the team is structured, the organization, if the Patriots had a bad night, you could say to a certain degree that some blame landed on Bill Belichick. Because although Bill Belichick came from a defensive background, he also had his hand in the offense in some degree. You can't really say that the same thing about Sirianni. We know he has.
That's fair.
You have little to no say in the defense. All right. I think if he knocks on Vic's door, he hears growling on the inside. He just keeps walking down the hall.
I would leave Vic alone.
I would leave Vic alone. But with the offense, we're also not so naive as to think that, he's in there doing. No, he's not. No, he's not. Okay. It's all the offensive coordinator. So whoever's coming in not only has to face the full brunt of the performance of the offense, but they also have to manage AJ Brown for at least until June 1st to find out what we really want to do with him in a city that's going to be harsher than any other city you're going to play in. Potentially, you're not going to be here for a very long time because we're going to run out of town. So,
or you're going to and the offense is going to explode, and you're going to get a promotion somewhere else. You're going to climb.
Which one's more likely? Yeah, maybe, but unless you're Kellen Moore.
Well, Kellen Moore did get a promotion.
That's right.
Became a coach, right? Shane Steichen, same thing. One final thing about Jalen Hurts. I think we're on the same page with AJ. It won't happen before June 1st. We all know that. Howie's not committing salary cap suicide. We know he's not going to do that.
We already did that once.
One final thing on Jalen Hurts, though, and this is probably going to upset some people.
Uh-oh.
It may not be this year, but I can almost guarantee you the 2027 draft, we are going to take a quarterback. And it ain't going to be in the 5th or 6th round.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be earlier than that. Much earlier than that.
Something tells me if history rhymes, it might just be in the 2nd round. I'm just going on a hunch. Just going on a hunch.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not going to be the 5th or 6th round. It's going to be a guy that they're looking at as he could possibly be my starter going, in a year or two. It's going to happen, guys.
I'll say this about Howie. Okay, so I'm not atoning for my sin just yet. So you can lambaste me in the comments all you want, but I'm not giving in. I was a very diehard Carson Wentz supporter. I have every single color of his jersey hanging in my closet right now. They're not at Goodwill.
And Mason, just to let you know, you don't have to tell the audience that. You tend to bring up Carson probably 3 to 4 times every fucking week, so they know, right? However, I'll own it as well. I defended Carson Wentz a lot longer than I should have. I did. I was very much a Carson Wentz fan.
But one thing as I've grown up, I've grown to appreciate is, as much as I didn't like the move of drafting Jalen Hurts at the time that he was drafted. We had, Carson had the injuries, of course, but he was still kind of seen as the franchise guy. Howie Roseman, for all his faults, is not scared to be seen as bold if it means going out of potentially left field in the moment. Hindsight is 2020, but in the moment, going left field and picking a guy who the entire city is going to hate right today, but is going to grow a love for later on if it means that he thinks that that's what's better for the team long term. When he drafted Jalen Hurts that night, and I remember listening to the coverage on the radio, 94 WIP. My God,
television.
My God, we wanted Howie fired. I remember when this happened. How do you pick a quarterback in the 2nd round when you have a guy who you're trying to build around, Wentz? He's your franchise guy. You're paying him all this money, and then you're going to spend a very valuable 2nd round pick on a quarterback when we're trying to further build the team. Hindsight's 2020, and it ended up being the right move because we got a ring, we got a prolific offense, and here we are today. So the one thing that I will say, I have called for Howie's head multiple times in the past when I was a much younger lad than I am now, and so I'll admit that. But hindsight's 2020, Howie Roseman will not hesitate to be bold in terms of building this roster, and I think you're 100% right. I think there's a small chance, depending how everything plays out in the coming years with Hurts' contract, you might see that move coming a little bit earlier.
It's not a good quarterback draft this year. That's the only reason why
I'm not saying this year. I'm saying
I'm telling you, 2027, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
it won't be 2026 draft, and because it's a little early. When you still have it's 3 full seasons on Wentz's contract. Or on Hurts' contract, but come 2027, the quarterback crop is supposed to be better. 2027, and then you're down to just a couple of seasons left on the Hurts deal. So
27, because it ends at 28, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 2027, get ready because it's coming, and there's gonna be a lot of people with hurt fucking feelings, and we're not here for your feelings. Neither is Howie Roseman. He's not.
No,
Howie learned a valuable lesson. When Andy got shown the door and they brought in Chip Kelly and gave Chip Kelly complete control, Howie had to go prevent himself. And he did it. And it's a huge reason why this team is where it's at today. So that's the one good thing that came out of the Chip Kelly era was Howie became what we see now. That's where that came from. So
and also,
I just wanted to throw it out there, like 2027 draft. Don't be surprised, 2nd round, or if we're picking at the bottom of the 1st round, don't be surprised. Don't be shocked, and don't fucking cry about it either, because I'm not going to hear from any of you bitching. I'm not going to hear it. All right.
And I think you also see from his time of being kicked out and his exile from Chip Kelly, his paranoia with power. And if the coach doesn't check himself, if the coach gets a little too big, he's not afraid to kind of put it back in his place.
Yeah, no issues there either. So Josh asked an interesting question. He talked about who we should get to replace Lane Johnson. So, Josh, I'll just we're not quite prepared to talk draft yet.
No, I'm not.
That's the draft is still 3 months away. I would tell you as we start getting probably into March is when we'll start talking more about. I fully believe first round pick needs to be an offensive tackle. I'll just put that there because I think it is the biggest need, and Howie has proven. Let's go trenches outward, right? That's where it starts. So, and Lane is in a position of need at this point. So I think that's where they're going. As far as who they're targeting, they probably know that already. But as far as myself, I've not really looked at.
They probably know who they're getting next year.
Right. Yeah. Like how is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, dude. Like we got a ton of picks coming up in this year's draft. Don't be surprised if there's a tackle that he really wants that is projected to go in the top 15. Don't be surprised if he cashes in a couple of those chips and moves up to get him. I would also not be at all surprised, and I hate to say this because it's only really worked out the one time with Devontae Smith. If for some reason A.J. Brown does, if they do look at, I think this draft will tell you a lot about what they think about some of these guys because there's more difficult decisions coming. We talked about A.J. Jake Elliott. Jake Elliott's a difficult decision, right? Jakey's not the same Jakey. Let's be honest. Nakobe Dean is an unrestricted free agent. Reed Blankenship is an unrestricted free agent. Dallas Goedert, Grant Calcaterra, and Granson are all unrestricted free agents. That's your entire tight end room. There are some very difficult decisions. Jalen Phillips, who played way over the cost of a third-round pick this season. He's an unrestricted free agent. There's tough decisions. Jalen Carter, you've got to make the decision on fifth-year option this offseason. Or do you try to just extend that rookie deal and give him the payday now, give him the signing bonus and whatever, and try to keep your costs down? Because at the end of next year, you're going to have to deal with Jordan Davis. Right? After his fifth year. So there's difficult spots. You're only another year away from having to make that fifth-year option decision on Quinion Mitchell. Cooper DeJean was a second-round pick. That option's not there. So you're going to have to make the decision on him long-term next offseason. I can almost guarantee it. So there's a lot of shit's going to happen here. There's going to be difficult decisions, ones that not everyone's going to be a fan of this offseason. I'm excited for it like I am every year. I love to watch Howie at work. As soon as our season ends, we call it Howie season, right? Like Howie season officially started at like 7:41 p.m. on that Sunday when we lost to Frisco. As soon as it went 000, Howie season. Time to go to work. And he's wheeling and dealing and blowing massive piles of Colombian's finest. So nobody's going to be surprised, come draft day that he, what he may or may not pull off. But Josh, to answer your question, don't really know right now. In another month-ish, we'll start looking at the projected first-round offensive linemen, offensive tackles, and then who right now would possibly be there down in the 20s, which is where we'll pick. That's the best way I can answer that question.
I'll say this regarding the draft, though. I remember a couple of years ago when Jordan Davis, when he was running the combine, I had never heard of Jordan Davis before. And what? I had watched his 40-yard dash live. I didn't see it like a replay. I watched it as it happened, and I was just watching the combine just like passively. And he ran the 4.78. I double take. I was like, wait, he's what? He's 6'3". What is he? 280 or 3, almost 3, and he ran a.
Oh no! It's way over that, buddy. He's like 340, dude.
340. Enormous. And I said, wait, he just ran a 4.78. And I said, okay, you're gonna take a pen and or a bookmark. You're gonna put it right there. And so when we took him in the first, I was like, oh no, no surprise there. It was either between Jordan Davis and Kyle Hamilton. And I was like, yeah. I mean, this is Howie. Yeah, that's Jordan Davis. So the combine's always really excited. I cannot wait for the combine this year.
Well, so the fun part for us out here is they do the combine in Indianapolis, which is only an hour and a half away from me. So we went.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we went last year. I intend to go again this year. We'll try to get some folks from our Birds group to go out there with us.
Is it free admission or you had to pay going?
Free. It's all free, dude. It's all free. Hey, Captain Debs flew out here and went to it with us that weekend. It was a blast. Now it's freezing fucking cold. Yeah, it's the Midwest at the end of February, beginning of March, so it's not exactly a destination. But Indianapolis is a cool little city. You can have some fun. And Lucas Oil Stadium is absolutely beautiful. And the combine's fun, man. They give you a little card to write down the 40 times and all the drill times there. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
A pamphlet with all the guys that are doing the drills and whatnot. It's a great time. And it's free. All of the events are free. You just need like the NFL, whatever the hell app, and you register there, and then you just walk in. It was a blast. There's all fan experience shit, all kinds of.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 40-yard dash thing you can do. That was funny. Watching some of these dudes go out and do that. We have video evidence of Captain Demp's running a 40-yard dash, which I will not divulge his 40 time here because he defends freedom for us. So Dev joins the room the way he ran that blocked field goal back. Yeah, Jordan Davis, they said he hit 21 miles an hour. That's a nightmare.
He moves. People that big are not supposed to move that fast.
They're not. I say the same thing about Derrick Henry too, though. It's a linebacker coming at you running 22 miles an hour. That's fucking frightening.
Dude, no, it's crazy. That's a genetic freak. That dude's nuts.
Well, did you ever see the close-up of his face when he hits top speed? Did you see that picture? You have to go look this up. I can't mimic it. The close-up of his face that they have it where he is on that run where he hits like 22 miles an hour. It is absolutely.
What's about Henry or Davis?
Henry.
Oh, okay.
It is absolutely terrifying to look at the look on his face. He just looks like he's about to go murder someone. It's insane. Yeah. All right, kid. Well, that was pretty much how I saw tonight going. Was the offensive coordinator, Jalen Hurts, some difficult off-season decisions coming. Hopefully by next week we've got a decision on a freaking offensive coordinator. Although I don't know, man, this might drag out a while now. It might. I think they had McDaniel targeted, and then that LA job came open, and out he goes.
Yeah, to be fair, Mike McDaniel is not built for Philly.
He's not. I 100% agree with. He is built to coach that roster, though.
I think he knows that too.
Yeah, I would agree. I agree with all of that. And you're not the first person that said that to me. And I agree. But what he is built for is the offensive mind for the talent-loaded roster that we have, which is why I wanted him, right? Because I think he would have done a great job. Now, he probably would have been a one and done, being only 42 years old. I got to believe a guy that skilled, we would have had a nice offensive season. It would have put him right back on the radar for another head coaching job, and he probably would have. That's right. Whereas Dable's 50. I don't quite look at him the same way. You got a 50-year-old man who maybe wants to be a head coach, or is he this guy like, look, I've done that. It didn't work out. I was much more comfortable as an offensive coordinator. You'd really like to have a guy that sticks around for at least 2 years, right? You would really like to have that. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Apparently that's a luxury, though.
That's a luxury. Well, when you're this loaded on the offensive side, and you're talented at your job, yeah, dude, you look really good doing your job, and it attracts a lot of attention in this league. That's for sure. All right, final thoughts, dude. What do you got?
Final thoughts. I mean, Philly's a really tough city, and it rears its ugly head sometimes when we try to attract new people. And it takes a certain kind of person to make it in Philadelphia. I mean, we're lucky enough that Nick Sirianni is playful enough to kind of blend seamlessly. Vic Fangio knows that as long as the defense is humming, then we don't care. And so the offensive coordinator, I mean, the spotlight's on him because when the defense is doing well, offense sells tickets, and so the fans care about that a lot. And so whoever they do end up picking for offensive coordinator, I do trust Howie unconditionally. At this point, he's earned that. And so whoever Howie picks, I agree with. And so I don't think it'll be Dable. I don't think it'll be a good enough fit. And I don't think it'll be a good enough fit. And so I think the other guys out there, I don't think it'll be like Jim Bob Cooter or anything like that. But dude, I mean, to be honest with you,
he needs to go coach Alabama. Like, I'm sorry, Jim Bob Cooter. Like, I just picture him pulling up to the link in the general lead from Dukes of Hazzard. You know? Like, he's an offensive coordinator by day and he runs moonshine at night. You know?
Especially the name Jim Bob.
Yeah, Jim Bob Cooter. Like,
Jim Bob.
I think we
whoever it is. Yeah, I do. Dude, this is like the fucking fourth year I've heard the name. Oh, teams are interviewing Jim Bob Cooter. I'm like, again?
Jim Bob Cooter. And every time I see it, I laugh just as hard. Like, how are you not coaching somewhere in like Louisiana,
Mississippi,
Georgia, Mississippi, some shit? Jim
Bob Cooter.
Watch us
whoever. just for that. But no, whoever offensive coordinator isn't just running the offense, or running the play calling or the X's and O's. He's also going to have to juggle the egos in a way, personalities. And I mean, whoever we end up getting, man, he's going to have to be tough because we got some divas in there. But I trust Howie not to let this turn into another Pittsburgh with Bell and Brown and Ben. And I don't think it
won't happen.
But,
it won't happen.
We definitely need someone to run the offense through Saquon with a sprinkle of Jalen every now and then, which is exactly how we won last year.
Yeah, I mean, you heard me say it all year long. What's our recipe for success? 40 runs, 20 to 23 pass attempts. Yeah. That, to me, that's the recipe, dude. And it keeps Jalen in what he does well. And some of those rushing attempts are Jalen Hurts designed runs, right? Like, you need him to be that part of it. That's what he does well. Jim Bob Cooter. Christ. All right, guys, we're going to get the hell out of here. I'm going to go hang out with my family for a bit and try to get on to the weekend here. Folks, if you got to venture out this weekend, you know, whatever the forecasts are saying, don't take it lightly. All right. There's nothing going on out there that's worth driving around in a friggin' foot of snow or ice or God knows what else. You know, we enjoy doing this every week. We enjoy it even more because you guys come and join us and, you break up the room and everything. Mason, you'll see come this summer when sports hits that real dip and content is just not there. I promise you, just as sure as I'm sitting here, this room will keep it alive, brother. They do it all the time. It's fantastic. I started working at a sports book in last February, and I will tell you the deadest months of sports betting in the United States, at least, May, June, July. Yeah.
And no matter how many times people defend baseball as a pastime, nope, it is not a contact driver. Once basketball ends, man, does it get slow. And so I definitely
when the All-Star break at baseball is the absolute worst time to have to come on here and do this because there's no content, right? Football is pretty much dead at that point. Your post June 1st shit has already happened. You're basically just ticking until training camp.
Yep.
Baseball has 3 days off or two, you get the All-Star game and stuff, which last year was fun, but there's no hockey, there's no basketball, there's nothing. And I am not going to come on here and talk about pickleball or soccer or fucking tennis. That's not going to happen. But the room will help keep it alive, I promise. So we appreciate you guys every week. Keep on coming back. Come on back again next week. Hopefully, maybe we're talking about an offensive coordinator. I don't know. Maybe it's Jim Bob Cooter. Who the fuck knows? We can have an OC that runs shine. That'd be great. But all you guys are fantastic. Thank you again very, very much. Be safe this weekend. Try to stay warm. The temperature is supposed to absolutely bottom out all over the place. There's a nasty.
It's supposed to be negatives a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. Over the next week and change, it's going to be brutal. So stay warm, stay safe. Don't do anything we wouldn't do. Like I say all the time, remember that judge ain't back in until Monday. And as always,
go Birds.
Go Birds.